And so I was really perplexed because I was like, okay, I don't understand what you mean, but then I got it, right? It was that, okay, so you're a Black girl and you're writing this and it seems very articulate for you. But I was like, yeah, but again, that although it was about him, I internalized that as well, right? I took it to mean that in certain situations I was being asked to sort of perform to a certain stereotype or standard in order for that to be acceptable for that particular professor, right? So all it did was inform me how to move with him, but again, it did have an impact, but it made me feel as though for some reason he didn't feel I had a right to be there. He didn't feel that, he felt I knew that. I felt that I had to prove that. So what did that look like? It meant that I had to navigate performing to what I know I was capable of doing, but also communicating in a way that was palatable for him. Fast forward. I, essentially have grown up into the point where I'm now, older. So you would think that at some point you would sort of get to a point where you feel like you deserve to be where you're at. But when you're constantly being questioned or made to feel as though the only reason why you're in certain spaces is because you are there to meet a diversity quota or as a favor to somebody else or for whatever reason, and they're different, and those are what you call microaggressions. They're small little things that are said in ways in which they're said that you get that understanding and you get that feeling, and it's hard to articulate or hard to put on paper because it's done so covertly sometimes. Sometimes it's overt, in the like the example I gave when somebody's telling me that I don't think that you wrote this paper because how you look and what's written on here do not match up according to that person, right? So that continued to play out, and even I found myself, whether it's applying for a job, questioning, am I, would make me feel that I have a chance being able to get this job, right? So it's like feeling as no pressure. To perform way better in order for me to actually be seen. But it's really complex, right? It's like on the one hand, I get that there's a standard and a measure that I'm supposed to work towards, and even when I feel like I have done so, whether it's through academics or through completing tasks that meet that standard, the response that you get from people once that's done, you get a questioning of, did you do this all by yourself? Who helped you? How did you do this? How are you capable of doing this? So those questions, right? Those play into the way that I perceive myself, and they have played a role in how that looks, right? And it's feeling like at any given point in time, somebody will question me, and it has happened, right? And what does that look like? It looks like showing up to a job interview and somebody, questioning, okay, so are you the person who I spoke with? Because how I sound and that picture that they formulate in their head is presented with a person who doesn't look like that. It takes a while for them to adjust their way of thinking, but in doing so, what they communicate with their words and they communicate with their actions does impact the way that has impacted the way that I've seen myself in years and continue to see myself as well. It's one of those things that I consciously have to challenge within myself, right? But again, sometimes I don't, and sometimes I feel it after the fact, right? So be where I am without them feeling the need to do the same. And I don't ask that because it's what right do I have to ask somebody whether or not they should be where they are, right? Because everybody gets to where they are through different means and different channels, right? And so to somehow negate how somebody else's life experience has been, I don't feel that that's fair, nor do I feel like that's a lot of work for what the other person's, it ignores the work in which the other person put forward, right? And so, what I've been able to show with my resume, I at any given time, I continuously, I'm always waiting for that someone to pull the rug right off of you, right? Somebody to be like, well, being able to measure up, right? So I make reference to model minority, right? So as a person who's identified as a minority, which is continuously changing, there are certain, I know that I have to work harder, right? Harder than any other person of color, right? And I know that as a female, I have to work twice as hard, right? So it's even in, it's not only it's predominantly held by perhaps maybe historically other males. It's something that gives you pause, right? Because people will question why you got there and where your credentials are, whereas if somebody else were to step in, they might not necessarily have been asked those same questions. And so it's something that I continue to deal with, but it's something that I'm slowly redefining in terms of how I allow it to play a role in who and how I see myself, right? I think too many times we allow how other people see us to define who we are as people, to the point where there are so many different voices that speak at any given time. And for some reason, those voices are somehow more important than how you see or how I see and how I view myself. And so a big part of my journey, my continuing journey, is to be able to understand that my value and my worth is not determined by the things that I achieve. Yes, I feel like I've been socialized to define myself by what I earn, or where I work, and all those things, right? Because it gives you status in society. Because obviously, if you're unemployed and somebody who's employed, you're more welcome in society than when you're not, right? Or than when you are. Sorry. See people not only as a function of what they do, but more so as a function of who they are as a person and the impact that they have on the people around them. So, so I definitely, I thought about having this conversation with different people, and they all have different perspectives, right? I think the biggest thing that I've, on how you see yourself and how you perceive yourself, right? And it's those different experiences that do shape that as well. So comment down below, and I look forward to hearing your comments. Watching my channel, thank you for supporting my channel. Please continue to do so. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It's the red button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit thumbs up. All the things I wanna do for you, all the ways I wanna love you true.